This program contains dramatic reenactments and material that may be disturbing to some audience members. Viewer discretion is advised.
When strangers set sail across the sea, they expect the weather to be blue skies and fair winds all the way. But when an unexpected storm blows in, their boat is torn apart. Their only refuge is an uninhabited island. They're in the hands of some of the most fanatical killers in the world. As the badly injured become easy prey to deadly predators, two of the survivors trek out into the hostile wilderness to find help, while time is running out for their dying friends. What it takes to survive on I Shouldn't Be Alive.
So why Gilligan? There's plenty to lampoon in modern gaming, from jump scare games to Ubisoft glitch fests. So why Gilligan? Well, the answer is that there is no answer. I've just always thought that it seemed funny, even when, up to a point, I'd never seen any gameplay. For all I knew, it was a board game. Why Gilligan, you still ask? And I'll say what I've told myself for years. It's gotta be Gilligan. So upon turning on the console, you're almost immediately greeted by some, somewhat familiar faces. Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, whatever. Except for one, because Ginger, aka the movie star, isn't even in the game. It's not like she was a minor character or anything. She did as much stuff as everyone else. She even beat the shit out of a stereotype once.
And I'm the rookie. Ah, you judo expert, all right. Lots of rock.
Holder of the black belt.
Hooray! What's up?
Thank you, Gilligan.
What's up?
On guard.
Taking that into consideration, the probable cause for her absence is because the actress who plays Ginger, Tina Louise, kinda hated being associated with the show. By the time this game came out, she had already turned down 3 reunion made-for-TV movies and 2 animated spin-offs that pretty much everyone else in the cast did. You know who didn't whine about his typecasting? Gilligan. Oh wait, sorry, Bob Denver. Oh, now I see why she did it. So anyway, there's this pretty boppin' 8-bit rendition of the theme going on. Unfortunately, that's the only time you'll hear it. Other than that, I'm not really going into music too much in this review. The rest of the game's audio is, forgettable. Gomenasai, Hashimoto-sama. After a brief cutscene showing how they landed on the island, you're given the mission of building a hut. A lot of 60s era setup, punchline gags, which, okay, by the way, real quick, this game was made in 1990. The last Gilligan media at that point was the second animated series, but that was 8 years earlier. The show itself aired 25 years earlier. So why make a game? I'm sure it was syndicated, but that'd be like making a Seinfeld game today. Not that there's anything wrong with that. My guess for why it was made? Gilligan. So the game actually begins here. I'm going to be going pretty in-depth about what exactly is wrong with this game, which is a lot. Maybe even everything. But first I'm going to give an objective description of the main concepts, just so the complaints make sense. You play as Skipper. Your job is to navigate the jungles of the island in order to complete tasks given by other survivors who are scattered on the map. You can jump and you can punch. Along the way you'll find many hazards like animals, headhunters, holes, quicksand. These hazards can both take away your hearts and separate you from Gilligan. Hearts can be refilled by using food items. There's also a rope item that comes into play later. There is also a time element that counts down while you play. It is normally around 10-15 minutes, but if you separate from Gilligan, it lowers to 2 minutes. If you reunite with Gilligan, it returns to normal. If you lose all hearts or your time runs out, you must restart the chapter you're on. Each of the 4 chapters has a boss, and when you beat the boss, you beat the chapter. You have to beat the boss with the club you get from one of the tasks. Alright, now that that's out of the way. So just about every one of those core concepts are undermined by some sort of horrific game design flaw. So basically the game is completing orders, right? But instead of taking advantage of the Metroidvania map layout by having tasks available for multiple people at once, which allows you to multitask, you're issued a linear set of orders with no optional objectives. The orders are 95% speak to this person, 5% get a nut by letting Gilligan climb a tree and then take it to this person. What's more, those orders are going to be issued by people across the map from each other, and you're going to have to backtrack between the same pair of people a lot. In level 2, there's actually a section you have to go between characters 4 times. I'm going to time code it at this point. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. They're completely across the map from each other. Okay, backtracking, not that bad. Symphony of the Night had backtracking.
Hey, don't you ever compare this to that!
The level design is horrific. Let me ask you, what is the point of the mud? It doesn't increase the challenge. Nothing goes into the mud, and no enemies have projectiles. It doesn't make things more fun. It doesn't do anything besides slow you down. That's this entire game. That's the entire game, really. It's just a slow slog through the mud, over and over. There's also rivers, and there's quicksand, and to get through them, you have to mash A, but sometimes you want the river or quicksand to take you to an underground cave, which you can also access by holes. Also, your map doesn't work in the caverns, but sometimes you can use a ladder to enter upper caverns, which look the exact same, but you can use your map. Also, I have a minor problem with the food item. See, every level starts you off with 5 out of 10 hearts filled, and 2 food items in your pack, each restoring 2 health. So why not just start you with 9 health? Why not just make the food item a simple pickup that restores 2 health when picked up, instead of something you have to access a menu to use? I mean, compared to everything else, this is a small problem, but still. And as for the controls, I mean, the jump is fine. It's a little baby jump, but there's really no challenge in this game concerning jumping. You're just jumping over rocks and animals, not bottomless pits. I mean, well, there are pits, but they're not bottomless. Bottomful pits. Whatever. But the punch? Absolutely useless 99% of the time. You can't punch animals. You can't punch Gilligan. You can't punch rocks. You can punch headhunters, but if they have clubs, they can outrange you. The club seems maybe to extend your range, but beside the boss, it doesn't let you hit anything new. Did I mention the boss fights? Each level has a reskinned version of the exact same boss with the exact same moves. Most of the time, you're just literally standing in front of the boss, mashing B. There's no need for any strategy deeper than that. Every step of the game is an absolute chore. From boring backtracking to the Sisyphean level design, why would anybody design a game so soul-crushingly menial? Well, none of those points can even hold a candle to the worst part of the game. Yes, Gilligan himself is a mishmash of terrible concepts that, even without the other complaints, could ruin a game by themselves. Itself? Whatever, Gilligan fucking sucks, that's the point. First, Gilligan is ridiculously valuable. In addition to taking time off your clock, separating from Gilligan further penalizes you by having no NPC be able to talk to you. Well, they'll talk to you, but you can't progress or accept tasks. They'll just say the same 2 things over and over. I don't even understand. In the final chapter, the tribe sends Gilligan to dick around while they have a serious talk about how Gilligan ruins everything, so I don't think it's like they like him. Why shut up? Is Skipper mute? Does Skipper have Asperger's? It's like Gilligan is a living press pass that allows Skipper to find things out. Also, Gilligan is the living version of the mud complaint. You see, there's something in this game called the Gilligan Zone. The Gilligan Zone is a roughly 2-character space around Skipper that Gilligan has to be inside before a screen transition in order to follow you to the next screen. If he isn't, he stays behind. For a whole screen transition, you have to path him into the hole or push him in and then jump in, because if you go in first, he won't follow you. This is really bad in the later levels when making the loop back to find him farting around is like 3 minutes. Coincidentally, the asshole game devs made some really shitty hole placement in an attempt to waste your time doing rescue duty for Gilligan. Just look at this shit. Talking to Marianne without losing Gilligan is fucking impossible. Thanks, Bandai. Thanks. But there's this really annoying problem that he has with the Gilligan Zone. You see, The game isn't challenging enough to slow down the player as they traverse a screen from left to right or right to left, but Gilligan almost always trips or runs into an animal during any screen, which results in him being just outside the Gilligan zone when a screen transition happens. So you make it to the next screen, realize you forgot dumbass, and have to go back to the previous screen for just a second and then progress. It seems like a small and specific gripe, but it happens so often it's unbelievable. Now, you can use a rope item to instantly respawn Gilligan next to you, but it seems to me like ropes were put in the game because the developers knew how bullshit Gilligan was. Also, there's some sort of boost jump you can do with Gilligan, but it never works and I never needed it, so whatever, I don't care. In summation, Gilligan is terrible, and he tried to get weed delivered to his house, but he got caught. What were you thinking, Gilligan? You can't do that. It's not Domino's, you goofball. The headhunters, or aborigines, are a pretty major enemy. The game says they're cannibals as well. In Chapter 2, they capture Mary Jane and apparently want to eat her, but after you save her, in the next chapter, Professor claims he's made contact with the tribe leader, but headhunters remain a common enemy. By Chapter 4, it seems apparent Professor was talking out of his ass because the chief goes ahead and steals Mrs. Howell. Professor, could you ask your friend not to be a dick? Also, this shit would not fly today. In fact, a game developer got punished pretty badly for a similar portrayal in a modern game. Now, I'm not saying this is this, but whatever. The show itself wasn't exactly PC. If I had to give a positive, the final boss was a giant skeleton, which I guess is pretty cool. It's too bad that the first time through, it glitched to where I couldn't hit it, and so I died. And so I had to restart a 40-minute level. But I guess it worked the next time, so yeah, that's definitely a positive. So, after you beat a giant skeleton to double death with a club, the professor leads the crew in a satanic ritual to grant them one wish. Unfortunately, Gilligan does what he's been doing the whole game and ruins it, and the game ends with a giant ice cream ride into the sunset. Now you might be thinking, that's a pretty strange ending. In actuality, the Gilligan canon is pretty strange in general. I don't want to point fingers, but the official ending to the series involved the crew turning an island into a resort which the Harlem Globetrotters landed on, and they had to play a robot basketball team in order to save the island from a millionaire who wanted to mine supremium, eat your heart out, Avatar, from the island, and Gilligan scores the winning shot and then goes to space with the castaways, and then he gets an alien pet named Bumper. Yep. All in all, I beat this game in about 3 hours and only died twice, so it's not exactly a difficult game, but those 2 deaths did cost me about 45 minutes, so it's pretty punishing for stupid mistakes. It's not what I'd call a good game. In fact, it's more of what I would call a shit game. A shit game that, you know, the mere existence is kind of baffling. If you want to play a good game that does everything this game tries and does it right, just play Tomba. But Tomba doesn't have an escort mechanic, you say. Yeah, I know.